Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And making news this morning, San Antonio police continue to look for suspects accused of trying to carjack a man at gunpoint.
Plus, now that half of all Americans over 18 have received at least one COVID-19 vaccination shot, what health experts are saying now about the nation's road to recovery.
And live look outside with live kids. I'm trying to figure out, is that fog?
Looks a little bit like, or is it a dirty camera?
Or is that just my mind?
It's Monday.
It is in a fog. It's Monday, for crying out loud. Who's not in a fog on a Monday? You know, we should be dancing and screaming like it's Friday. And that makes Monday go better, right?
And we'll pretend, and that'll make us feel better. Yeah, okay. I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You got to ease into it, David. You got to wake up slowly. So let's keep the screaming to like the
Justin's like, no.
Hour.
Good attitude.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Listen, it's chilly out there, guys. We had somewhat of a cool weekend. Felt pretty good. We're going to start off cool today. Should be nice this afternoon. Temperatures right now in the 50s. We were cooler earlier, actually. We were in the low 50s and some 40s out there, but we're getting some clouds starting to move in, and that's keeping temperatures up just a little bit. 53 degrees at the airport, 45 Comfort, 45 in Kerrville, and temperatures will ease probably into the 70s today. There's a little wider view here, 54 Carrizo Springs, fairly warm out in Del Rio, at least warmer, 59 there. Looking at the satellite and radar, you see some of the clouds streaming in, so it's starting to cloud up a bit. And yes, those are some returns out west, but a lot of that's not reaching the ground. That's going to be the case today. We may see some sprinkles, a light shower, but it's not going to add up to much. So we'll keep a slight chance of a sprinkle in the forecast, but that's it. Forecast calls for about a 10% chance of rain. Temperatures will be up around 72, 73, 74 for a high this afternoon. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's some good news. We have some decent chances for rain in the forecast as we get into the latter part of the work week. We're going to look at that and discuss those details coming up here in just a few minutes. But let's get over to Samuel now with a look at your times, our traffic authority. Samuel, how's it look?
Good morning, Justin. Things looking relatively fine out there this morning. Still have some construction on the west side, and we can show you that on the maps as we head over here to the wall. And good morning to everyone out there. And what we've had is Loop 410 between Military and State Highway 151. We've had this construction going on the past few weeks, and that has happened over the weekend, but we're not seeing some of the delays that we usually see at this time of morning, but that's just something to keep in mind. Let's take a closer look at I-10 coming in from Bernie this morning, and that's 26 minutes into downtown San Antonio, 25 minutes if you're heading the other way, and once you get inside at 1604 is 13 minutes to downtown, and then I'm gonna guess there, yep, 12 minutes the other way. Here's a look at TransGuide 281 at Loop 410, looking fine this morning, and we'll have another update coming up. David, Stephanie?
Thanks, Sam. It is time to head to the polls. Cast your ballot and have your voice heard. Early voting begins today, and polling sites are expected to open later this morning. Stephen Cavazos now joins us live here in the studio with what you should know before you head to those polls. Stephen?
Hey, good morning, David. Well, voters should know that early voting will run today and up until April 27th, and Election Day is on May 1st, and that's when all registered voters will be able to cast their ballots on several key races. Now, that includes city and school races, and there are several polling sites that are expected to open later today. Voters don't need to bring their voter registration card, but they will need a valid form of identification, which could be a driver's license. And keep in mind, there are more than 80 candidates who are running for 11 seats on the ballots. Now, voters will be able to decide the mayor or and as well as 10 city council seats. Voters will also decide on Proposition B. Now, that's a measure that would take collective bargaining rights power from police officers and change how the city would negotiate further contracts with the police union. Now, again, early voting will run today and up until April 27th. Election Day is May 1st. You can always head over to our website at KSAT.com for more information. David, Stephanie?
Thank you, Stephen. This morning on the city's northwest side, San Antonio police are looking for a group of suspects they say used an Uzi to try and carjack a man. Police say it happened as the victim was pulling out of a laundromat near West Avenue and Red Rock Drive. Officers say the suspect ended up taking the victim's personal belongings instead before taking off in a maroon truck and hitting the victim's car. A Park police officer spotted the suspects, who then crashed near Vance Jackson and Hermosa before running off. The search for those suspects are still underway.
And now we turn to the pandemic. A new step towards vaccinating children against COVID. A trial involving young children is underway.
Meanwhile, when it comes to adults, some new progress over the weekend. Here's ABC's Mona Kassar-Abdi.
This morning, a milestone in the fight against COVID. Every state now has expanded vaccine eligibility to all people 16 and older. And doctors hope to extend that option to younger people soon. Pfizer says its vaccine is now being tested on children as young as 6 months old.
When we weigh the risks of getting the vaccine versus the virus, it's clear, let's do the vaccine.
This California couple's 7-month-old son will take part in the trial this week. His 1-year-old brother was the first in his age group to start the trial.
He had a sore arm for a day and was a little bit low in energy for a day, but yes.
In the meantime, the CDC says now more than 50% of adults have now received at least one dose, but a pause on Johnson & Johnson's single-shot vaccine could hamper progress. 6 women suffered rare but severe blood clots out of the 7 million people who received the shots. According to the Wall Street Journal, the FDA, quote, came close to simply warning about a blood clotting risk from Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, but they ultimately recommended a pause, concerned that doctors would improperly treat the condition. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he expects the pause to be lifted this week, although some restrictions may still be required. Even if the J&J pause is lifted this week, doctors fear the damage may already be done, with more Americans growing hesitant to get any shot.
Patients are asking me a lot of questions over the last weekend, but the pause is necessary so we can better understand. Generally, this vaccine is definitely safe and the cases are so low and there's really not much of a link that we see.
Mona Kassar-Abdi, ABC News, New York.
It's 4:36 and 56 degrees.
Defense attorneys and prosecutors are set to make their closing arguments in the case of the former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd.
And your San Antonio Spurs back in action on the road tonight, but can they continue to win? They'll be taking on the Pacers.
And taking a look outside with live cam, your screen says 56, but it's actually 53 degrees outside. A little chilly start to your day, but it's going to warm up a little bit. We're going to check in with Justin in a little while.
Welcome back. It is 20 minutes away from 5 o'clock. Attorneys in the trial of a former Minneapolis police officer charged with killing George Floyd set to make their closing arguments today. Prosecutors say Derek Chauvin recklessly squeezed the life from Floyd as he and 2 other officers pinned him to the street for more than 9 minutes. They say those actions warrant conviction. The defense says Floyd put himself at risk by swallowing fentanyl and methamphetamine, then resisted officers trying to arrest him and should be acquitted. Video played a huge role at the trial, driving home the emotional impact of Floyd's anguish and death. Prosecutors can replay video during their closing, and experts say they expect to do that.
In Austin, police say 3 people are dead and a suspect thought to be armed and dangerous is still on the run. Police say the suspect, 41-year-old Stephen Nicholas Broderick, was at one time a deputy for the Travis County Sheriff's Office. Broderick was last seen wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. Austin police say this all started with a reported shooting yesterday morning in North Austin. Moments later, residents there were ordered to shelter in place. The reason, 2 women and 1 man found with gunshot wounds, all later dying at the scene. Now, police say this shooting may have been targeted as the suspect and victims all knew each other.
It is a little helicopter with a very big mission. NASA's helicopter Ingenuity could take its first flight on Mars or just off the surface of Mars later on this morning. It would make history as the first aircraft to achieve powered controlled flight on another planet. Ingenuity is expected to fly for about 40 seconds, rise 10 feet in the air, and then hover. It's going to make a turn and then take a photo and touch back down on Mars. Once it lands, it'll send that data back to mission control at NASA's lab in Pasadena, California. If successful, it could fly up to 4 more times over the coming weeks.
And the San Antonio Spurs are coming off that much-needed win against the Suns this weekend. Tonight, they face the Pacers in Indiana. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Then on Wednesday, the Spurs come home to host Miami. That's at 7:30 at the AT&T Center. They stay at home on Thursday for a face-off with the Pistons before traveling to New Orleans on Saturday to take on the Pelicans. Busy schedule. Go Spurs, go.
One right after another.
I know.
442, 56 degrees.
And restaurants are facing a new crisis, even though they're finally able to fully reopen again. We're going to tell you why just ahead.
Plus, how doctors are now trying to figure out how to vaccinate children as young as 6 months for COVID-19. Those details are next on GMSA.
And welcome back. It's 4:45. As more adults and teens become eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, doctors are beginning to test the vaccine on children as young as 6 months. ABC's Kana Whitworth has the details on today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, kids and vaccine trials. With fears that the variants could be worse in children than the original strain, vaccine researchers are now focusing trials on children.
Excellent.
Dr. Angelica LaCour's 3-year-old daughter, Eloise, is in Stanford Hospital's Pfizer trial.
We're just so lucky that we have a healthy child, and so grateful that she's able to be part of this.
Knowing that she would have some of the vaccine also, just with everything opening back up and going back to daycare, I think was really helpful for us in making the decision.
And we'll have all the coronavirus headlines, plus the very latest on the race to vaccinate, coming up at 7 a.m. With your GMA First Look, I'm Kana Whitworth, ABC News.
There are new concerns for many in the restaurant industry, already hit hard by the pandemic.
With COVID restrictions being lifted, many businesses are now struggling to find workers. Here's ABC's Deidre Bolton.
The restaurant industry reeling from a devastating pandemic and now a new problem.
I've never seen it this difficult to find people to work in the restaurants.
The hiring signs are up, demand is growing, but employers are struggling to find workers.
We reduced our days of work by 1 day, and then we've had to reduce our menu items significantly.
With more than 16 million Americans collecting some form of unemployment insurance, some restaurant managers claiming those extended benefits are leading to a shortage in the workforce.
Too many people are staying home with their unemployment checks.
At least 20 states now resuming job search mandates on aid recipients in order for them to keep receiving unemployment benefits. Mike Irving of Charlie Palmer Steak in D.C. says there are other factors involved.
We have several employees who themselves have underlying conditions. They will not return until they're fully vaccinated. They want to ensure that the restaurant is doing everything properly, from PPE equipment and cleaning.
Americans are spending more in restaurants than they have since last June. Business owners want to keep that going. Deirdre Bolton, ABC News, New York.
Looks pretty quiet out there on the roadways.
Which is a good thing for Monday.
Yeah.
Like you need more stuff happening on Monday.
That's true.
Right. With ease into the week, and not too much to worry about when it comes to traffic. A lot of green all over the map. It appears that the construction we're talking about on Loop 410 on the west side has been cleared. So let's talk about another construction-related issue. This one up in Commute County. By the Buc-ee's on Creekside Crossing SM306. Last night, they started sort of reconfiguring the traffic here on Creekside Crossing. So that's over here this way. And that's going to continue through July. That's part of this ongoing construction project in this area. So if you drive on 35, New Braunfels area, you know all about it. So this is sort of another stage of that. So just watch for some different signage and changing and navigating around that. Also, beginning again tonight, they're going to be closing the intersection here at Loop 1604 and 281 for the flyover ramps, the sign installation. Of course, there's some construction on 281 this weekend. They're making progress, but still a few things to tidy up before those ramps can open, and that's going to be continuing this week as well. Looking at, we told you about I-10 earlier, so we'll skip over that. It still looks good, 25 minutes. And here's a TransGuide Loop 410 at Cherry Ridge, looking good, as is 35 and Top Orion. Traffic building a little bit, but still flowing well.
Not too bad. Thank you, Samuel. And are we expecting rain this week? Maybe some more rain?
Well, yeah, Samuel was saying that the green on the map is good. It's also good on my map. I just wish it was there. That would represent some rain. We didn't get as much as we'd liked last few days. In fact, we didn't get much at all. I know people are getting impatient here. Where is the rain? I've got good news. I think Friday rain chances really are looking pretty good at this point. We'll get into that forecast in just a second. But first, we got to talk about the temperatures. Well below average this morning in the 50s and 40s. It feels chilly out there. And we're down to 53 here in San Antonio. Notice we got 30s and 40s up north. This is cold stuff even for the Panhandle. They've got freeze watches and warnings out because by tomorrow morning they could be below freezing up there, which has an effect on the crops and things like that. So that's to our north. We're not expecting freezing temperatures here, but it just goes to show you that we're sort of in a chilly pattern right now. Outside, 53 degrees, cloudy skies here in San Antonio. West-northwesterly winds at about 6 miles per hour. Skies have become cloudy. We're seeing clouds starting to shift in. And these are the local temperatures here. 46 in Kerrville, 52 New Braunfels, 55 Pleasanton. Generally, you're seeing warmer temperatures down to the south and west because of that cloud cover. And you can kind of see it here with our satellite and radar. And yes, that does look like we've got rain out to the west, but a lot of this is not reaching the ground. Extremely light. It's dry at the surface, so this stuff evaporates before it makes it to the ground. We're going to see maybe a sprinkle or two today, especially across the hill country, but nothing that I think is going to add up in the rain bucket. So no measurable rain today, just a couple sprinkles here and there. And that's what our forecast is showing. A couple of light returns. Off and on cloud cover. I still think we see some sun too, which will eventually boost our temperatures into the 70s for highs. We're thinking 73, 74 for high temperatures. Southeasterly winds will eventually kick in, and we're just going to put in a 10% chance of rain. That's it. So again, nothing of great significance. But down the line, here comes our next system. This one takes more of a favorable track. This is Friday, 7 o'clock. We're starting to see some showers around the area. Then as we get into Friday afternoon, showers and maybe some storms. The setup is there maybe for a couple of strong storms too, although it's a little early to talk about that just yet. As we get closer, we'll have a little better idea of maybe where we could see some stronger storms. But my hope is that we get some good heavy rain out of this. Again, it's a good setup, but we've been down this road before. So let's get a little bit closer. And right now we're going to put in a 40% chance of rain Friday afternoon. And then by Saturday, I think a lot of this starts to clear out. And we should get a pretty good weekend. So that'll be something to watch later this week. Here's how the 7-day looks. Just a sprinkle today, 74, 84 on Tuesday. We get a front Tuesday afternoon. That brings some windy conditions. So heads up Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Could see some gusts 30, 35 miles per hour. It will be cooler on Wednesday, I should say, 71. We start off at 45. So still some chilly mornings this week. And then by Thursday and Friday, here comes the cloud cover. And here comes the rain chances. 20% chance on Thursday, 40% chance on Friday, 76. Then we're back in the 80s this weekend. So we'll continue to watch the end of the work week, guys. Keep our fingers crossed for some rain.
It'll be good to be back in the 80s, though.
Indeed.
Thank you, Justin.
It's all the wind. Like every day is like windy.
Yeah, well, we should enjoy it before July, right?
Yeah. Just sitting there going, where's the wind?
Yes.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at some of the biggest nominations for this year's Academy Awards.
And taking a look at your winning lotto numbers, there's pick 3, 5, 4, 8, Fireball 3, Daily 4, 2, 4, 8, 4, Fireball 1.
And your cash 5 is 1, 10, 15, 30, 31. And Lotto Texas 3, 5, 28, 30, 41, 51. And Powerball 10, 21, 26, 41, 49. Powerball's 25. Power Play is 2. Good luck. More nominations being announced for this year's Academy Awards.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
The Oscars' most nominated black female actor, Viola Davis, walking away with yet another accolade, named Woman of the Year by Harvard University's Hasty Pudding Theatricals. Davis, the first black woman to win an Oscar, Emmy, and Tony for acting. She's nominated again this year for her lead role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. She was chosen, the group says, because of her immense impact in Hollywood, especially in such a historic and difficult year for the arts. Davis will be honored later this week online, where she'll receive her ceremonial pudding pot.
Reporters keep asking me, Billy, why you do the things you do? This is what I tell them.
Andra Day calls her Oscar nomination for The United States versus Billie Holiday an inadvertent but happy surprise.
I want to do this. I did not want to act At this point in my life, I did not want to do this movie. I especially did not want a movie about a musician to be my first movie.
But Day did take the role, and now she's competing against Viola Davis, Carey Mulligan, Frances McDormand, and Vanessa Kirby for Best Actress, making this year the first time since 1973 two black actresses will compete against each other in the category. The Oscars air this Sunday on ABC. It's a big birthday for Tim Curry, turning 75 today. Curry shot to fame thanks to his breakout role as Dr. Frankenfurter in 1975's The Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Emmy Award-winning actor earned his place in pop culture history with his performance in that film, one of the greatest cult features of all time. And speaking of birthdays, actress Kate Hudson turns 42 and Ashley Judd is 53. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Lionel Moise.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you ever go see that?
Yeah, reruns.
When it was, when you went to the theater, I mean, people were like throwing stuff up at the screen. I mean, that was part of the whole
act,
the whole deal.
I didn't go to one of those. No, I left with clean clothes.
Clean clothes?
Yeah.
Strange time.
Time now is 4:58 and 57 degrees.
Still coming up on GMSA, a closer look at what we can expect during closing arguments in the Derek Chauvin trial.
Plus, how the maker of a popular online video game is introducing new content rating systems for kids. Details coming up in Tech Bites.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Closing arguments for the trial of Derek Chauvin begin today. I'm Mike Ajachi reporting in Minneapolis. Coming up, how the city and the nation is preparing for the verdict.
And let's get outside with live cam. I think it's just dark of night or dark of morning. I don't think that's fog or anything else.
No, although this monitor looks clearer than the other one we're seeing this morning.
But I think we're in for a pretty good Monday. Good morning. Yeah. It is Monday, April 19th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Go ahead and grab that cup of coffee because it is Monday, but I guess we're expecting things to warm up just a little bit in the afternoon.
So you get 2 on Monday?
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, David, since you mentioned it, we'll get you a ladder, thing of glass cleaner. We'll send you up there. We'll clean it off. Look much better. Nice go around.
Yeah.
The live cam.
All right.
You're down for that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. 54 degrees right now. Northwestern winds at about 5 miles per hour. Dew point is at 41. That's an important number. The air is still pretty dry. We are seeing a few light returns on the radar. It's not going to really fall to the ground. Most of it's going to evaporate, so we're not looking for much in the way of rainfall today. There's a 10% chance of a sprinkle or two. Temperatures will be up around 74 for a high. Pretty comfortable after somewhat of a cool morning. Grab the coat this morning. You probably want it. You won't need it all day necessarily. Here's a look at the pollen count. This is from yesterday. Mold's in a high category. It jumped up. Oak still high, but we expect these numbers will generally start to trend downward. We're on the backside of oak season, thankfully. Mold's been a little bit high because it has been somewhat damp, but with some drier air, hopefully both of these numbers improve today. Here's a look at the radar. Yes, it looks like there's rain out there, but most of this is not reaching the ground. We're looking at some of the observations here. Nothing more than a couple sprinkles. We can see a few of those work towards San Antonio. We'll see some off and on cloud cover today. Temperatures, as we mentioned, low 70s for highs. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. And we'll get even warmer temperatures coming up tomorrow before another front comes through. And then some rain chances this week. Another look at that 7-day forecast is coming up here in just a bit. Let's go over to Samuel now. Looks like things are still pretty quiet out there, right?
Yeah, pretty quiet start to the work week, which of course is what we like to see. Justin, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. A lot of green on the map, which is good. So we can take a closer look at some of the areas here as we head over here to the wall. And let's start on the north side. This is 281 at Loop 410. Had some delays here right by the airport just a short time ago, but those seem to have rectified themselves. So it's 65 miles per hour right there at the interchange next to the airport. Looking at 35 inside Loop 410, 9 minutes between the northeast side and downtown San Antonio. And then if you're on the southwest side, 9 minutes heading northbound, 10 minutes heading southbound to Loop 410 this morning. Looking at some other travel times across the region, speaking of 35, 26 minutes coming in from the New Braunfels area, 16 minutes coming in from the Lytle area, and on I-10, 25 minutes from Bernie, 30 minutes from Seguin. Here's TransSky, 35 at Topperwine, US 90 at General McMullen. Traffic flowing well this morning, and we'll have another update coming up. David, Stephanie?
Thank you, Samuel. Early voting starts today, and there are several key races to keep an eye on. Some of those include city and school races.
Stephen Cavazos joins us live in our studio this morning with what voters can expect to see on their ballots. Good morning, Stephen.
Hey, good morning, David, Stephanie. Well, people will be able to cast their ballots today on city and school races. One of the most talked about campaigns is Proposition B. Now, that measure would take collective bargaining rights from police officers and change how the city would negotiate further contracts with the police union. Now, if this is approved by voters, the police union would have less power when negotiating a contract with the city. Now, some critics do say with collective bargaining, police officers would see their benefits negatively impacted and hinder the city's ability to recruit and retain quality officers. Now, keep in mind, there are more than 80 candidates who are running for 11 seats on the ballot. People will also be able to cast their ballots or vote, that is, on the next mayor and 10 city council seats. Voters do not need to bring their voter registration card, but they will need a valid form of identification, which could include a driver's license. Now, again, early voting does kick off today and will run through April 27th. Election day is May 1st. And of course, you can always head over to our website at KSAT.com for more information. David, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. After 3 weeks of testimony, the fate of Derek Chauvin is about to be in the hands of the jury. This morning, closing arguments begin nearly 1 year after George Floyd's death.
ABC's Ike Ajachi is in Minneapolis with the latest.
This morning, anticipation in the streets of Minneapolis. Crowds gathering at the now infamous corner where George Floyd was pinned to the pavement under Chauvin's knee for over 9 minutes. Tensions rising, all while 2,000 National Guard members line the streets on the eve of closing arguments. So far, 3 weeks of testimony from 45 witnesses, including George Floyd's loved ones, medical experts, and more than a dozen members of law enforcement. Chauvin is facing 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. He's pleaded not guilty.
The outcome that we pray for in Derek Chauvin is for him to be held criminally liable for killing George Floyd.
The prosecution arguing Chauvin's actions killed Floyd when he pinned him down to the ground for 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
A healthy person subjected to what Mr. Floyd was subjected to would have died as a result of what he was subjected to.
The defense claims it wasn't Chauvin's knee that ended Floyd's life, rather his drug use and untreated heart condition.
Remember that all the defense has to present is reasonable doubt. They don't have to prove that it occurred a certain way. In fact, their own expert in this case says it's uncertain as to what the cause of death is.
The city and a nation facing a racial reckoning, a week of consistent protests following the recent police shootings of Dante Wright and 13-year-old Adam Toledo. From coast to coast, preparations for unrest. In San Francisco, discretionary days off for all officers are canceled, the same in New York City. In the nation's capital, officers begin around-the-clock 12-hour shifts. And here in Minneapolis, public schools are moving to remote learning starting Wednesday. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan releasing a statement ahead of closing arguments. She was commenting on the recent police shootings in her state, saying Minnesota is a place where it's not safe to be black. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Minneapolis.
Here at home, the family of a Floresville man who was killed in San Antonio last month still desperate for answers as investigators work to track down the killer. The shooting happened in the 2600 block of Westward Drive. Police say 28-year-old Ryan Rivera crashed his car through the office of an apartment complex. And when officers got there, they found him dead with a gunshot wound to the chest. His best friend, Savannah Beasley, says Rivera was studying to become an EMT. Beasley says she hopes the person responsible will come forward.
We won't stop looking for you. He was very loving and he meant a great deal to all of us. And you may not have known him and I wish you would have. But please just come forward.
Beasley says she also hopes his death will encourage others to cherish the relationships they have with friends. At this time, San Antonio police have no leads or no suspects in the case.
A year ago this week, a hero fell. San Marcos community honored police officer Justin Putnam, shot and killed in the line of duty. Members of the San Marcos Police Department, alongside loved ones of Justin, honoring his life and service during a memorial at 5 Mile Dam Park Sunday. It's a place he was known to visit regularly. Putnam served the San Marcos Police Department for 5.5 years. He's remembered as an excellent police officer and an extraordinary friend with a distinct level of commitment on and off duty.
The way he treated people and the way he cared for the community, it was what he did, and he was good at it. So I think he'd be proud of himself.
Putnam, along with Officer Franco Stewart and Officer Justin Mueller, were ambushed and shot while responding to a domestic disturbance call. Putnam died at the scene. Officer Stewart receiving the Medal of Honor, and both he and Officer Mueller the police Purple Heart for their acts of heroism and bravery in the line of duty.
And time now is 5:09 and about 57 degrees right now.
Still coming up this half hour, details on how an online game popular with kids is introducing ratings for games to better restrict age-inappropriate content.
Also up next, an important reminder from a local physician about making sure why your medicine cabinet at home needs to stay locked at all times.
And outside with live cam, going to be an interesting start to the week. Kind of normal, but then things get a little, I don't know, well, would you call them abnormal? It seems like everything's normal these days.
Well, it's like a roller coaster ride.
Okay.
But we'll take it.
Up and down. Welcome back. It's 13 minutes after 5 o'clock. Parents have a lot to worry about or focus on when it comes to their children.
Yes, they do, which is why one local physician says you should keep your medicine cabinet at home locked at all times. Dr. Jindy Haug with the Children's Hospital of San Antonio says she often sees kids come into the emergency room after taking medicine for adults. She says medications can look like candy to kids and their curiosity may cause them to eat them. In addition to keeping the medicine cabinet locked, she says you should also keep certain items in there such as Band-Aids and burn cream.
On top of that, I think it's important to have medications that are children specific for fevers. So that means children's ibuprofen and children's acetaminophen, which a lot of people know as either Motrin and Advil or Tylenol.
Dr. Haug also says keeping children's Benadryl can help if they have an allergic reaction to something parents don't know about. However, she says that every parent must know the proper dose for their child, which is based on weight.
And time now is 5:14 and about 57 degrees right now.
Still coming up this morning, details on Amazon's potential new service that would have drivers deliver and build furniture.
If you have obstructive sleep apnea and you're often tired during the day, you could be missing out on amazing things. Sunosi can help you stay awake for them. Once daily Sunosi improves wakefulness in adults with excessive daytime sleepiness due to obstructive sleep apnea. Sunosi worked for up to 9 hours at 12 weeks in a clinical study. Sunosi does not treat the cause of OSA or take the place of your CPAP. Continue to use any treatments or devices as prescribed by your doctor. Don't take Sunosi if you've taken an MAOI in the last 14 days. Sunosi may increase blood pressure and heart rate, which can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, heart failure, or death. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure. Sunosi can cause symptoms such as anxiety, problems sleeping, irritability, and agitation. Other common side effects include headache, nausea, and decreased appetite. Tell your doctor if you develop any of these, as your dose may need to be adjusted or stopped. Amazing things happen during the day. Sunosi can help you stay awake for whatever amazes you. Visit Sunosi.com and talk to your doctor about Sunosi today.
In today's Tech Bites, a helping hand for parents concerned about video games. Virtual game playing platform Roblox is developing content ratings for games, offering parents more information about what kids are seeing on screen. It's unclear exactly what the system or when it will be available. A new feature for Chrome 90, Google has added the ability to create a link that'll take people to a highlighted part of a page. The rollout is not complete, but it has appeared on desktop and Android devices. Google says that feature is coming soon for iOS users. And finally, your Amazon driver may soon deliver your furniture and then assemble it in your home. Bloomberg says Amazon is planning to test the new furniture building service in several markets. It's an attempt to compete with Wayfair and other companies that put together delivered furniture for you for a fee. And those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
It's not a bad deal.
So they'll deliver it and then assemble it.
That sounds amazing. That's the biggest problem is when we get stuff, it's like, we got to put it together.
So assembly required is assembly brought to you.
Yeah,
like that.
Very nice. Yeah, we'll
so
take
if they were
it.
bringing you something today, would they have a problem getting to you this morning?
No, not this morning,
There you go.
David and Stephanie. Things look pretty clear so far, knock on wood. So hopefully that will continue this morning as we take a look at the maps this morning. Not much to see anywhere, even New Braunfels, Seguin, Castroville, all looking pretty good this morning. Back here in San Antonio, let's look at Bandera Road inside 1604, between 1604 and 410. 8 to 9 minutes. Can't get much better than that. So a nice, easy traffic morning. Here's 410 at Jackson Keller. Things looking fine. So if you're someone who leaves maybe in the next half hour or so, plenty of time to make your stops and errands before heading into work or school, guys.
Good news. So no rain today, but maybe later this week.
Well, no rain with an asterisk because we could see a sprinkle, but it's not rain.
So no rain this week.
No
okay.
rain.
Gotcha.
No we could get some this week, but just not today. Friday is what I'm shooting.
I'm so confused.
Let's just start over. Let's look at the headlines. Let's break it down and keep it simple here. Okay, today, chance of a sprinkle off and on cloud cover. It'll be pretty comfortable out there. Tomorrow, warmer, sunnier, and we'll get another front. That front will bring some gusty winds with it. That's the important thing there. It will also be cooler on Wednesday. And then later this week, decent chance for rain. Fingers crossed. We need it. As we look at the rain chances, 40% on Friday, Thursday 20%. So that's sort of our corridor there to get some showers and maybe some storms too. We mentioned we need it. Look at the west. Completely in drought. This is the drought monitor, and basically where you see the darker colors, that's where things are at their worst. We're talking extreme drought here across parts of Medina County, out towards Bandera, west of San Antonio, where the farmers, man, they do need some rain, and we're hoping again that we'll get some this week. But even here in Bexar County, things are not great. It has been a while since we've got a good heavy rainfall. Temperatures 52 Bernie Stage, 46 in Comfort, 51 Bandera, 54 Canyon Lake, 57 right now Stinson. Temperatures are actually creeping up a little bit, and that's because we're seeing some cloud cover starting to move in. Acts sort of like a blanket, brings those temperatures up just a hair. It was colder earlier. We had lower 50s here in town, but mid 50s for the most part right now with some 40s in the hill country. Here's a look at the satellite picture, and I mentioned some of those sprinkles. There they are. This looks like it would be rain, but it's very dry at the surface. So a lot of this is evaporating before it reaches the surface. And as this little disturbance works through, you're going to see some light returns on radar today. It's just not going to add up to much, if anything at all. Probably not measurable rain. And we're seeing that here with the forecast. It shows a shower or two, some off and on clouds. Best chance, if we're going to get any sort of light showers, is going to be up across the hill country, and that's going into this evening as well. So the forecast calls for a high right around 74 or so, with just a 10% chance of rain. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now down the line, this is the next system that we're keeping our fingers crossed for. So by Thursday, I think we get a couple showers around the area, and as it moves in on Friday, should increase our shower and storm probability. And we could even see a few strong storms on Friday. It's a little early to jump into that yet, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. And I think by Saturday morning, a lot of this is starting to move out. I will get some clearing skies over the weekend. So here's what the 7-day forecast looks like. We'll go 74 today, 84 on Tuesday. Windy with that next front. Cools us down on Wednesday, 71. Cloudy on Thursday, 20% chance of rain. And then on Friday, 40% chance of rain. Temperatures in the 70s. It warms up by the weekend. So still a lot of changes here in the 7-day forecast as we go forward. We're still in spring, still getting those fronts, and that's a good thing, guys.
Very good.
So move this way. Okay, just try to keep this straight. Sprinkle Monday.
Right. Rain.
20 Thursday.
Later on.
40 Friday. All right.
There you go. That's the cliff notes right there.
Well, all you had to say was rain, and I was like, I got you.
You knew what I was trying.
Yeah, I knew what you were trying to say.
I didn't.
Time now is 5:23 and about 57 degrees right now.
Whew. Still ahead in your morning spotlight, a secret to correctly guessing the Academy Awards technical categories. Plus, more details on unusual Best Original Song campaign. And welcome back. It is 5:26. The Academy Awards are this Sunday, but some people are taking part in Oscar pools. We're paying attention to what happened this weekend.
CNN's David Daniel has that and other Oscar news in today's Hollywood Minute.
If you're in an Oscars pool, one way to pick winners in the technical categories is to look at the various Filmmaking Guild Awards. Sound of Metal won top honors over the weekend from the Cinema Audio Society, indicating a possible win for Best Sound. For film editing, the American Cinema Editors gave their top prize to The Trial of the Chicago Seven. And in cinematography, the American Society of Cinematographers feature film winner was Mank. Husavik, My Hometown, from Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, is up for Best Original Song. And the town of Husavik, Iceland, is doing all it can to win a place in Oscars history. It's created an official Oscar for Husavik website with promotional videos extolling the virtues of the small seaside town at the edge of the Arctic Circle. Most of Husavik's 2,300 inhabitants figure to be watching when the 93rd Academy Awards take place Sunday night.
Help Husavik to get shiny new Oscar!
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We'll be watching closely.
527, 57 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, today is the day COVID-19 vaccine eligibility finally opening up to all Americans 16 years and older, but it comes as demand is slowing in parts of the country.
Plus, more in-depth look at one of the most widely debated items on today's ballot as early voting begins here in Bexar County.
Hi, good morning. It is Monday, April 19th. Thanks for joining us, and grab the extra cup of coffee because it's Monday.
You have your alarms just buzzing you awake. So here's the thing. Today we could have some sprinkles.
Yes.
Later on in the week, maybe more than just sprinkles.
That's
Let's
correct.
just start with today right now. Here's Justin.
That's a great way to break it down, David. That's exactly right. And as we look at the forecast, if you're heading off to school this morning, you probably want a light jacket. It's cool outside. It's not cold, but we're in the 50s right now, mostly cloudy and cool. By this afternoon, 70s, yes, there could be a sprinkle or two. We're seeing some of those returns on radar right now. Everything's really light, though. It's not going to amount to much. So all in all, it's a pretty quiet day. Some off and on clouds, too. 47 right now in Kerrville, 43 in Fredericksburg. It is definitely chilly in the hill country, mid-50s elsewhere. And clouds are really starting to move in. So the clouds are here now. And we see some of the returns out west. We've been showing you this through the morning. But a lot of this is now reaching the ground. Everything is really light. So a couple sprinkles around Del Rio, Rock Springs this morning. Some of this may work towards San Antonio a little bit later this morning and this afternoon. But again, it's not much to worry about. We'll be up around 72, 74 eventually, I think, for a high. 10% chance of rain, that's it. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not much rain today, but there are some chances now down the line by Friday. It's looking a little bit better. That 7-day forecast is coming up in just a bit. But we got to get over to Samuel now. How's it looking?
Well, things still looking overall pretty good, but we do have an issue, Justin, not too far from where this picture is. This is I-35 at Ben Zingelman. Traffic flowing well so far, but a little bit north of there, and we'll take a look at this at the wall. We do have our first crash of the morning. This is 35 northbound at Starlight Terrace, and this appears to be in the frontage road, so not on a highway. Traffic still flowing well there on 35, but again, something to watch out for. I-35 northbound at Starlight Terrace. Looking out for the rest of the area, still flowing pretty well this morning, no matter where you are. That's really the lone issue on the board at this point. Looking at travel times, these are heading inbound, so southbound from New Braunfels, 25 minutes into downtown San Antonio, 16 minutes northbound in from Lytle, 24 minutes on I-10 in from Bernie this morning. And we'll have another update coming up. David, Stephanie?
Thank you, Samuel. The medical examiner confirming that a biker involved in a late-night crash has died. That crash also involved 2 other vehicles. It happened in northwest Bexar County on Interstate 10 near Old Fredericksburg Road. Our Katrina Weber is there with a live report. Now, Katrina, we know it had shut down the highway. Is there any sign of that this morning?
No, actually, the road is clear. The traffic is flowing as normal, and it's back up to speed. But for a time last night, though, it had come to a grinding halt. Well, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is investigating this crash, which happened in the westbound lanes of I-10 near Old Fredericksburg Road. A spokesman told us the biker was hit by one of the vehicles around 10 last night, but that there were as many as 3 in all that were involved in the crash. The biker was killed. It's unclear whether either of the other drivers will face any charges. The medical examiner is still working to identify the biker who was killed, so we don't know his name just yet. Reporting live in Northwest Bexar County, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. Today is the day President Joe Biden said every adult in the country would be eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine.
States are delivering on his promise, and millions of people have already been vaccinated. However, as CNN's Brett Conway reports, health experts say the next hurdle is getting everyone else to do the same.
By no later than April 19th.
Today's the day. Every American 16 years and older is eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine.
It's your turn now.
As of Sunday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says half of U.S. adults have had at least one dose, a big step in the race between vaccines and variants.
That's the reason why you want to get our population vaccinated.
But demand is dropping in a number of states. A recent poll from Monmouth University shows about 1 in 5 adults say they're not willing to get vaccinated. The divide is mostly along party lines, with 43% of Republicans who want to avoid the vaccine, 22% of independents, and 5% of Democrats. The reasons vary, from a push to maintain personal freedoms.
This is a public health issue. It's not a civil liberties issue.
To distrust because of past mistreatment of minorities by health professionals, difficulty accessing the shots, not liking needles, or a lack of long-term safety data.
These vaccines are exceedingly safe. They're, I believe, safer than most therapies and vaccines that we have developed in the past.
Health experts say whatever the reason, it's all the more reason to keep talking.
Having that conversation in a way that doesn't make them feel judged or ashamed by having any kind of concerns or hesitations, and that allows them to at least feel a bit more comfortable with it.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Today, Oklahoma City marks the somber 26th anniversary of the bombing of the Murrah Federal Building that killed 168 people. Merrick Garland, who supervised the investigation of the Oklahoma City bombing, will be the keynote speaker at a special remembrance ceremony. Now serving as President Biden's Attorney General, Garland oversaw the prosecution of Timothy McVeigh, who was later executed for the crime. Because of the pandemic, the 2021 event is invitation only and attendance is limited, but the entire ceremony will be made available online.
Former President Donald Trump had some rare praise for his successor, Joe Biden, this weekend regarding the troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. The former president called the removal of U.S. forces from the country's longest war, quote, a wonderful and positive thing to do, unquote. Former President Trump follows his fellow former presidents Bush and former President Obama in supporting the troop pullout in Afghanistan. But Trump did criticize the Biden timeline waiting until September 11th, as his plan was to do the withdrawal by May 1st. The former president also did not like the choice of the date because he believes it's a somber anniversary that should be kept only as a day of remembrance.
More and more people are getting the vaccine across San Antonio, across Texas, and across the country, and there is actually more availability.
But people still have their concerns. So Max Massey and Sarah Costa got important information from an infectious disease specialist on this weekend's leading essay.
Yes, Dr. Patterson, an infectious disease specialist with UT Health San Antonio, joined us live to talk about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the recommended pause on that vaccine, the other vaccines that are widely available, and what distribution has looked like across the Alamo City. Take a listen.
You know, just looking at Texas in general, about 19% of people are fully vaccinated. In San Antonio, 710,000 people have received one dose and 28% are fully vaccinated. So that's compared with about 20% statewide. And of those 65 years of age or older, 81% have received a vaccine and 52% are fully vaccinated. So it's going really well in San Antonio.
If you ever have someone you would like to hear from, or if you ever have any questions for any guests that we have coming onto the show, you can feel free to submit both. Just head to the leading essay section of KSAT.com. Guys, back to you.
538, 57, kind of chilly this morning degrees.
Yeah, just a little bit. And still ahead, we're going to tell you which beer companies are jumping on the bandwagon to offer free booze to customers who get the COVID-19 vaccine.
And also coming up next, a closer look at why Proposition B has become such a widely debated item on the ballot this year and what you need to know before going to the voting booth.
Taking a look outside with live cam. So the bottom corner of your screen says 57 degrees. We have 54 degrees. It's still chilly out there. Grab a jacket this morning. We'll be right back.
Early voting for the May 1st election begins today, and this week's episode of KSAT Explains is all about one of the most widely debated items on the ballot.
Myra Arthur gives us a preview of the Proposition B episode.
A confrontation ends with a civilian being killed by a police officer. Outrage and protests follow, then calls for accountability. And then it happens again in some other city in the United States. To many, it seems we are stuck in a cycle. It's why activists in communities across the nation are calling for police reform. And it's why when you vote in the May 1st election, you'll have the choice to vote for or against Proposition B. San Antonians approved Texas Local Government Code Chapter 174 in 1974, giving the police union the right to collective bargaining. By now, you've probably heard about the effort to repeal that right, but there have been mixed messages leading to confusion for voters.
And you realize the problem lies within the contract, and the problem with the contract lies within 174.
It's not about accountability, it's about defunding.
Repealing 174 would not be tantamount to defunding the police.
That is not the way to reform or change bad behavior. But it has come to that because we don't have anything else. So now we have to take your power away because you're using that power as a weapon.
In this episode, we're explaining what Proposition B is all about, the arguments for and against it, and what it would and would not accomplish if passed.
.543, 57 degrees.
And while mask restrictions are slowly being pulled back, there may still be a good reason to wear them. Up next, why allergists say masks may be the key to minimizing your outdoor allergies.
And welcome back. It is 5:46. Wearing masks have become a way of life over the past year thanks to coronavirus.
But could masks be beneficial for those who suffer from allergies? Erica Hernandez has the details.
People have been wearing masks to fend off COVID-19, but allergists say those same masks have also been good at filtering out all the pollen and other allergens floating around in the air. Doctors with Tufts Medical Center say since people have been wearing masks more overall, they've seen patients reporting fewer seasonal allergy issues. That's because while pollen grains can be as small as 10 micrometers and masks can catch particles as small as 3 micrometers. Allergists at Tufts say more advanced medical masks can be even more effective and that even wearing cloth masks outdoors can cut down on problems. Of course, those masks don't protect your eyes, so you may still feel some discomfort if you don't wear glasses or other eye protection. At the same time, doctors say they are seeing an increase of people getting aggravated with indoor allergies. That's because more people have decided to add pets to their family over the past year. Allergists also say that while wearing masks for outdoor allergies can be beneficial, it's not a great long-term solution. That's because wearing a mask too long, especially in the summer months, can create more problems like acne or eczema on your face. As always, talk to your doctor or allergist for the best plan for you. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
In your morning consumer headlines, Apple is getting ready for its spring event tomorrow. New iPads are almost certain to be introduced. A new version of the Apple Pencil will also likely be shown off, and possibly AirTags, those little devices to help you track things like keys or even your car.
Get your COVID-19 vaccine and get a free beer and donuts. Last week, Sam Adams announced that it would be buying a beer for anyone who's gotten a shot. Now Budweiser is following suit. Budweiser says its offer is going until May 16th. If you'd like some more information, head to abeeronbud.com. Sam Adams will give you $7 for a beer at your favorite bar. That's how much a Sam Adams beer costs, is $7.
Wow.
Wow. I did not know that. You can find more details at samadams.com. And Krispy Kreme is offering an original glazed donut for people who have gotten their shot. All you have to do is show your vaccination record card.
SpaceX is gearing up for its third astronaut launch in under a year after getting the green light from NASA for the liftoff on Thursday. The crew has arrived at Kennedy Space Center. The 4 astronauts are expected to spend 6 months aboard the International Space Station, replacing another SpaceX crew. This will be the first crew flight using a recycled Falcon rocket and Dragon capsule. Both were designed for reuse.
I would love to go to the International Space Station.
Oh my gosh, not me.
Not you?
I'm scared to death. No.
I don't think I'd want to spend 6 months up there, but
Oh my goodness.
a couple days would be fun.
Really? No. Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. No, we appreciate what you do out there, but I don't want to join you.
Then you'll leave your space for somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about buying you a ticket.
Yeah, Samuel can go.
Samuel can go.
Yeah.
I'll think about it. But yeah, see, Stephanie, you're not going to be a space tourist.
No. Probably not.
We'll stay here.
I kind of like Earth. It's a cool place.
Well, we do only have sort of one major issue on the board this morning, and that's this crash on the northeast side on I-35 northbound. Crews still on the scene here. This is 35 and Starlight Terrace, and we understand this is in the frontage road, so not on 35 itself, but just something to watch out for if you're in that area. This Wurzbach Parkway, for instance, Sherry Ann Road, and then Starlight Terrace is where this crash was reported. Up here in Comal County, or near the Buc-ee's area, remember this traffic switch? They did this yesterday. Creekside Crossing here. You'll still be able to get to the Buc-ee's from 35, but there's going to be some traffic changes between the frontage road and Town Center Drive through July. It's part of that ongoing project on 35 in Comal County. So if you drive through that area, you are well familiar with that. Looking at 35 this morning between New Braunfels and Loop 410, 18 to 19 minutes in both directions. So that's fairly normal for this time of morning. Traffic flowing well. And here's a look at TransGuide 90 at General McMullen. Traffic flowing well there too, guys.
Too bad. And we have a cool picture from viewer Yvonne.
Yeah, she sends in a lot of great pictures. It may have shown this last week, I'm not sure. But this is sort of an update. So I think she had a picture of a nest. This is the baby's being hatched, and Mama is feeding one. It's kind of hard to see, but I think it's right there.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yvonne.
It's spring. Yeah, I love these pictures. You see still some of the leftover leaves there, but everything is starting to green up. Yes, thank you for the picture, by the way. But you know what? It feels not so much like spring this morning, at least it did earlier. We were in the low 50s. It was chilly out there. We had 30s and 40s across the state. This is below average. The weekend was below average. We're going to get another front coming up tomorrow. It's going to keep temperatures below average. So it's been a pretty good spring so far, if you like the cooler temperatures. It's 39 right now in Amarillo, and as they get into tomorrow, it gets even colder. There are freeze watches and warnings up there across parts of the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma, and that's because temperatures may dip below freezing. Farmers up there, that's kind of a big deal, and they'll be watching for that tomorrow, just sort of the pattern that we're in. Outside right now, 54 degrees at the airport, 57 Stinson, 56 in Kelly. These numbers have been coming up because we're getting more cloud cover, and that's helping to keep the temperatures in check. 52 Bernie Stage, 54 Canyon Lake, 47 in Comfort, 49 right now in Kerrville, and 55 down in Creosote Springs. Those clouds continue to stream in, and there have been some light returns, but notice these dew points. It's still really dry. Dew points in the low 40s and 30s right now. So any of that precipitation that's falling out of the clouds, and we see some of the light returns out west, probably evaporating before it reaches the ground. So if we do see any rain today, it's probably going to be in the form of some sprinkles. Not going to add up to much. And we'll see some off and on clouds today, but a little disturbance rolling through, and that's why we're seeing some of that at this hour. Forecast shows that. Everything's really light here, and this computer model probably overdoes it even a little bit as we see some of this activity move through. Enough sun today, though, to boost those temperatures into the 70s. 73, 74 for high southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. We will keep a very slight chance of rain in there today. Another system follows behind this one. It arrives on Friday. Thursday, I think we see a couple showers. By Friday, better chances of rain. I'd say this is probably one of the better chances we've seen in a while of some showers and maybe some storms. We're still a few days out, so we'll be able to refine the forecast as we get a little bit closer. But I'm hopeful that we'll get some at least decent downpours by Friday. I will mention that it'll be windy Tuesday afternoon as our front comes through, some gusts up to 30 miles per hour Wednesday morning, 71 for high. We shut off at 45, by the way. 68 Thursday, 76 Friday with that 40% chance of rain, and it clears out some as we get into the weekend. So fingers crossed, we need the rain in the worst way, guys.
We do. It's getting rough out there.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep.
Time now is 5:53 and about 57 degrees right now.
Let's check your lottery as we go to break. Pick 3, 5, 4, 8. Fireball is 3. Daily 4 is 2, 4, 8, 4. Fireball is 1.
Cash 5, 1, 10, 15, 30, 31. Lotto Texas, 3, 5, 28, 30, 41, 51. And your Powerball numbers, 10, 21, 26, 41, 49, Powerball 25, Power Play 2. Good luck.
Before we hit the top of the hour, I want to show you this shot. Yeah, they're clapping because you're looking live at NASA's helicopter. Ingenuity has taken its first flight on Mars. It's making history as the first aircraft to achieve powered, controlled flight on another planet. NASA just got these images back. Ingenuity's flight plan had it flying for about 40 seconds, rising 10 feet in the air, hovering, making a turn, and then taking a photo and touching back down on Mars. You can tell they're just pumped up, excited there, aren't they? It can fly up to 4 more times over the coming weeks. Hopefully we'll have some images of it actually showing those pictures that it was able to take. We expect those sometime later on today, but that's pretty exciting for those folks at NASA. Hey, if you have kids, one local doctor giving some important warnings about your medicine cabinet still ahead. We'll hear more about what meds you need to keep in your house and how to keep them out of the reach of children.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And good morning to you. We're going to get to weather and traffic in just a second. But first, the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is coming to an end.
This morning, lawyers for each side will wrap up their case and deliver their closing arguments. The jury will then decide if Chauvin will be convicted of the charges.
CNN's Daryl Forges is now joining us live from Minneapolis. Daryl?
Good morning. This is it. This is the week that many have been waiting for almost a year. Now, both sides are expected to make their final pushes to the jury as to why they believe Derek Chauvin is either innocent or guilty. Now, outside the courtroom, tension continues to build.
Oh my God.
After 3 weeks of emotional and expert testimony, on Monday, lawyers presenting their closing arguments before turning the case to the jury. The prosecution expected to go first, making their final argument that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin violated his department's policy when he knelt on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, killing him by asphyxia.
A healthy person subjected to what Mr. Floyd was subjected to would have died.
The prosecution team expected to go beyond experts and medical testimony and show that video that shocked the world over and over again.
There's no evidence to suggest he would have died that night, except for the interactions with law enforcement.
Then Chauvin's defense team will get their turn, likely arguing it wasn't his knee, but rather Floyd's heart condition and drug use that caused his death. The defense only has to raise doubt in the mind of one juror to avoid a conviction. Chauvin's attorney expected to emphasize testimony from their use of force expert.
I felt that Derek Chauvin was justified and was acting with objective reasonableness.
Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, a community on edge, reeling from a second tragedy 10 miles away, the death of 20-year-old Dante Wright. And Dante Wright's funeral is scheduled for this Thursday. Now, back inside the courtroom, once both sides finish their closing arguments, the jury will be sequestered for deliberations. That could take 1 day, 2 days, however long it needs to be for them to get to a final verdict. Now, we also know that when it comes down to this situation, Judge Peter Cahill did tell the jury last week to pack for long, but hope for short. Live in Minneapolis, I'm Daryl Forges.
Thank you, Daryl, for that report from Minneapolis.
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning, it's a cool start to your day. We're in the 50s and expecting some rain later in the week, but today just sprinkles, right, Justin?
Yeah, maybe a sprinkle or two. It's not going to be a big deal. And guys, it was cooler earlier. I mean, we were in the low 50s. The temperatures actually come up some.
I mean, I should say this, but I thought about starting up the fireplace this weekend. It was that cold.
Yes, it was.
Hill country. But then I didn't do it. Because I thought of you and you would make fun of me and I wouldn't go down.
I wouldn't have made fun of you. I get cold.
I mean, I would have given you a hard time probably. Yeah, that's probably true, Stan.
You would have.
Nonetheless, feels pretty good right now, 55 degrees. It has been below average. We've seen that. I don't think anyone's complaining, though, because we know we're going to be in the 90s here soon. So we'll take these cold fronts, this cool air, as long as we can get it. 55 right now at the airport, 50 Bernie Stage, 47 Kerrville, 47 in Comfort. Looking at the pollen count, and we'll get an update today, but mold was in the high category. Oak was high yesterday. My hope is that Oak is going to continue to trend downward. Mold was high because we did see some dampness over the weekend. That number should go down too. and we're still looking at things like pecan and grass out there. Radar shows we still have some very light returns out west. A lot of this is not reaching the ground, and so that's why we're talking maybe just a sprinkle or two working through the area today. It's not going to be any real measurable rain, I don't think so, at least. And as we look at temperatures, 60s and then eventually 70s by the afternoon, 72 up to 73 for a high today. 10% chance of rain across the board, and mostly cloudy skies. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Yes, we do have a better chance of rain later this week. Some thunderstorms potentially. We'll have more on that 7-day forecast in just a bit. Let's talk traffic now, though. Samuel, how's that morning commute looking? Any issues?
Things are mostly quiet, but we do have a couple of issues still being reported on 35. This is a 35 at Benzingelman. You can see traffic is building a little bit this morning, but still flowing relatively well. But if we look at the maps here at the wall, we'll show you a couple of situations not too far from each other. There's a crash reported here in the frontage road. This is 35 at Starlight Terrace. That might be on the way to being cleared if it isn't already, so that's a good thing. Also had a stalled vehicle here on 35 here at Wheatner Road, so very close to each other. This one was actually on the right shoulder, but we're not seeing that on the TxDOT listing up there, so this might be getting cleared here pretty soon as well. But just a couple of issues there on 35. You see them bunched up together and not much else on the map. A lot of green all around the area. So this would be a good time to start heading out, for instance, if you need to run your errands. Travel times coming into San Antonio from the east, 25 minutes on 35 into downtown San Antonio from New Braunfels, 28 minutes from Seguin on I-10, 24 minutes on I-10 from Bernie. And we'll have another update coming up.
Thank you, Samuel. New this morning, the Bexar County Medical Examiner says one person is dead after an overnight crash on the northwest side. It happened around 10 last night at I-10 and Old Fredericksburg Road. Bexar County Sheriff investigators tell us a motorcycle was hit by a vehicle and caused a 3-car crash. The crash caused the interstate to close for several hours while emergency crews were on the scene. We are still waiting to learn more information on what led up to the crash and if any charges will be filed. The interstate has since reopened.
This morning, San Antonio police are still looking for the suspects involved in an armed robbery and crash. Officers say it happened last night outside a laundromat near West Avenue and Red Rock. They say 2 men blocked the victim's car with their truck, got out, and pointed a gun at the driver. They tried to steal the victim's car, but ended up stealing personal property instead. And police say the 2 suspects then drove off. They crashed their truck near Vance Jackson and Hermosa, and then they ran off. Officers say there were no injuries in the robbery or crash.
San Antonio police say this man is behind bars for a robbery. According to an arrest affidavit, 25-year-old Derek Bass met a business partner at his apartment back in November. Investigators say Bass had asked to see his partner's gun, then took it and used it to steal at least $15,000 in cash. When Bass tried driving away, police say the victim grabbed onto the side of the car and was dragged for over a mile. Bass is now facing charges of aggravated robbery.
And Austin police say a shooter is still on the run this morning after they say he shot and killed 3 people yesterday. They are asking everyone to look out for this suspect on your screen, 41-year-old Stephen Broderick. Austin police say he is a former Travis County Sheriff's deputy. He was last seen wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. Police say this shooting may have been targeted as the suspect and victims all knew each other. The shelter-in-place order was lifted yesterday evening, but the police have been asking everyone to remain vigilant until Broderick is found. If you see him, you're asked to call 911 immediately.
And Election Day is next week, but voters can start heading to the polls today. Early voting will begin later this morning, and this year expect to see a crowded ballot with over 80 candidates as well as important propositions. Stephen Cavazos is live in our studio this morning, and Stephen breaks it all down for us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning there, Steph. Now, some of those key races voters need to keep an eye on include mayor and city council seats, as well as school districts and 2 propositions. One of those being Proposition B, which, if passed, could mean the police union would have less power when negotiating a contract with the city. Now, some critics say without collective bargaining, police officers would see their benefits negatively impacted, which would hinder the city's ability to recruit and retain quality officers. However, some believe that it would make the negotiation process more public and allow the city to seek more accountability for officers who have been fired for misconduct but have won back their jobs through the appeals process. But of course, the choice will be up for voters to decide. Now, keep in mind, early voting does start today and will run through April 27th. Election day is May 1st. And if all you need is a valid form of identification when you show up. Now, polling sites, that is, will be open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, but hours will extend on Saturday to 8 p.m. Now, the polling sites will close on Sunday, and again, Election Day is May 1st. David, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, we're going to turn now to the pandemic. A new step towards vaccinating children against COVID-19. A trial involving young children is currently underway. Meanwhile, when it comes to adults, some new progress over the weekend. ABC's Mona Kozar-Abdi has the latest for us.
This morning, a milestone in the fight against COVID. Every state now has expanded vaccine eligibility to all people 16 and older. And doctors hope to extend that option to younger people soon. Pfizer says its vaccine is now being tested on children as young as 6 months old.
When we weigh the risks of getting the vaccine versus the virus, it's clear, let's do the vaccine.
This California couple's 7-month-old son will take part in the trial this week. His 1-year-old brother was the first in his age group to start the trial.
He had a sore arm for a day and was a little bit low in energy for a day, but yes, that's...
In the meantime, the CDC says now more than 50% of adults have now received at least one dose, but a pause on Johnson & Johnson's single-shot vaccine could hamper progress. 6 women suffered rare but severe blood clots out of the 7 million people who received the shots. According to the Wall Street Journal, the FDA, quote, came close to simply warning about a blood clotting risk from Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, but they ultimately recommended a pause, concerned that doctors would improperly treat the condition. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he expects the pause to be lifted this week, although some restrictions may still be required. Even if the J&J pause is lifted this week, doctors fear the damage may already be done, with more Americans growing hesitant to get any shot.
Patients are asking me a lot of questions over the last weekend, but the pause is necessary so we can better understand. Generally, this vaccine is definitely safe and the cases are so low and there's really not much of a link that we see.
Mona Kozar-Abdi, ABC News, New York.
And time now is 6:11. It's about 58 degrees right now.
Hey, the Spurs are fined because of a resting violation. We've got more details in the preview coming up later.
And if you have kids, one local doctor telling you to keep your medicine cabinet stocked and locked. We're going to hear more about what meds you need to keep in your house and how to keep them out of reach of children.
And outside with live cam, still chilly at 58 degrees, but it's going to warm up today with a chance of a sprinkle or two. Justin Horn's got your forecast coming up. And welcome back. It is 6:14. Children and adults obviously different, and that means the medicine they take is different as well.
And that's what Dr. Jindy Haug with the Children's Hospital of San Antonio says, and that there are certain things you should keep in your medicine cabinet if you have children. She says having basic wound care like Band-Aids and burn cream are important. Dr. Haug also says keeping children-specific fever meds such as Tylenol or Motrin for kids is a must. And because kids are naturally curious, Dr. Haug says the whole family needs to take precautions in order to protect them.
So it's not necessarily even the parents that have their own prescription medicines, but perhaps the grandparents or aunts and uncles who are around. So it's important to keep those medications locked and in a safe place that the children cannot get into under any circumstances.
Dr. House says it's very important for parents to know the proper dose to give their kids, which is different than adults.
She says children's doses are based on weight and will change over the course of your child's life.
All right, let's get outside, check traffic. We had a crash earlier this morning. See if that's cleared up and what it looks like now. Samuel?
Yeah, that crash was on 35 northbound on the northeast side, but it looks like things have cleared up there. But looking at some travel times, other travel times across the region, if you're coming in from the Pleasanton area, good morning to you folks down there. 28 minutes coming into downtown San Antonio on 37. 19 minutes on 90 from Castroville and 17 minutes from the Lytle area into downtown San Antonio. Look, our issues are off the map now. We both had a stalled vehicle there at 35 in Weidner, and we had the crash David was mentioning at Starlight Terrace, but that appears to have been cleared. So we're going to zoom in here, and you're not going to see anything. Both of these things are now off the board just as quickly as I looked at them. Had some delays here on Presa approaching Loop 410 on the southeast side, but those seem to have been rectifying themselves. A little bit of a slowdown there at the interchange between 410 and 37. Here's a look at TransGuide 410 at Callahan, flowing well this morning. Traffic building, but still plenty of time to head out and get your day started if you need to do so, guys.
Good news. Thank you, Samuel. And definitely a little jacket for the kids going to school this morning.
Good advice. Indeed, yes. It's a little cool out there. Not cold, but cool. And we mentioned the potential for a few sprinkles today. And Steph was mentioning earlier that reminds her of cupcakes.
Yes, it does.
Whatever it is. Here, I'm not above eating a cupcake for breakfast, for sure. Sounds pretty good. But yes, some sprinkles out there. Just something to keep in mind today because we do have a little disturbance rolling across. Some off and on clouds, too. We're already seeing the clouds move in, so cloudy sky at this hour. And then warmer, sunnier. We get another front tomorrow evening. That brings in some windy conditions, and it does cool us down on Wednesday. And then later this week, we're keeping our fingers crossed for some rain. It's looking better and better. Some thunderstorms potentially. We just need a good downpour. We don't want the severe weather. We just need some good downpours. It's a possibility. So we'll jump into that forecast here in just a second. The rain chances, Thursday, 20%, 40% on Friday. So that's what we're looking at as far as our next best chance of rain. Drought monitor shows we do need the rain in the worst way. It just continues to be an issue. We've been in drought for feels like the better part of a year now, but you've got extreme drought out west, Hondo, Bandera, down into the Winter Garden region, areas that desperately need some rain. Hopefully we'll get some in here for you again later this week. Right now, 55, cloudy. Humidity is at 59%. Northwesterly winds at about 3 miles per hour. 50 Bernie Stage, 47 Comfort, 49 Bulverde, 52 at Randolph, 58 Stetson. These numbers were actually a little bit cooler earlier. Clouds have shifted in, and that's keeping temperatures up just a little bit at this hour. 58 Del Rio, 60 down there in Cotulla. And then the dew points, well, they're low, 30s and 40s. So that's why what we're seeing out west, and we are seeing some returns there, are not reaching the ground. Maybe a shower just north of Del Rio, but I really think a lot of this is going to be really light. And again, in the form of just some sprinkles today. As we look a little bit closer, Valverde County, you can see some of the light returns, and that's that disturbance rolling across. It'll be here through the afternoon. So our computer models do generate what looks like some rain, but again, it's just not going to amount to much. Quite a bit of cloud cover too, so it'll be off and on clouds today, maybe a few peaks of sun, and that'll get us into the 70s later this afternoon. And this will be out of here tomorrow, so skies clear up some on your Tuesday. But 10% chance of rain, 73, 74 for a high temperature this afternoon. Now let's talk long term. Here comes our next storm system. Dives south. This is a pretty dynamic one. And by Thursday and Friday, we're already starting to get some showers. And as this thing moves in here Friday afternoon, computer models do want to generate some showers and storms. It's that time of year where we'll have to look at the potential of a couple strong storms, but it's too early to talk about that just yet. Let's get to Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll have sort of a better idea if severe weather is going to be in place. But Friday, that's the day that we'll watch for rain, and I think by Saturday into Sunday, we're clearing out. Things look better. Here's the extended forecast. 84 tomorrow, so it does get warmer. Cold front comes through. Windy Tuesday into Wednesday morning. 71 on Wednesday. We do start off at 45. Chilly start. 20% chance of rain Thursday and cloudy. 76 Friday, 40% chance of storms. And then clearing out some for the weekend. 84 and 85 respectively, Saturday and Sunday, guys.
Not too bad. We'll take it, Justin.
Yep. It is now 6:20 and 58 degrees.
A new exhibit coming to the San Antonio Zoo. We're going to see the plans for the new jaguar habitat.
At Panera, we make dinner easy and cheesy. Order our delicious mac and cheese for dinner tonight with delivery or pickup, only at Panera.
Experience clean in a whole new way. Now Roomba vacuums exactly where you need it.
Alexa, tell Roomba to vacuum in front of the couch.
And offers personalized cleaning suggestions for a clean unique to you and your home. Roomba and the iRobot Home app, only from iRobot.
honey latte.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Oh, it's Hack Me.
It's easy to be unsafe.
Mom, what's your 401k number?
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Opt into cyber safety at Norton.com.
Rinsing dishes before they go in the dishwasher?
Well, new Cascade Platinum has 50% more cleaning power, so you don't have to. Its food-seeking enzymes break down food into particles so small it can flow right down the drain.
Plus, it's powerful enough for the quick wash cycle.
New Cascade Platinum with 50% more cleaning power.
The Spurs are back in action tonight after having a night of rest, and hopefully there will be some positive momentum for the team after this weekend. Hey, the Spurs pummeled the second best in the West, the Phoenix Suns, Saturday night. Did you watch that? They play the Pacers on the road tonight, so see if they can continue that run. Tip-off scheduled for 7 o'clock. If you missed the game, you can always catch the highlights again tomorrow morning right here on GMSA.
And turning now to trending stories on KSAT.com. The San Antonio Spurs were fined $25,000 by the NBA for violating the league's player resting policy. This comes after the game against the Phoenix Suns. The violating happened when the Spurs, quote, rested 3 players in the same road game against the Suns, end quote. As you just heard, the Spurs still won despite all that happening.
Luke Bryan named Entertainer of the Year during last night's Academy of Country Music Awards show. Maren Morris won the honors, including Song of the Year. Miranda Lambert held on to her record as the most decorated winner in ACM history and performed along with Carrie Underwood and Ellie King. All performances pre-taped at various locations in Nashville. Mickey Guyton was the first black woman to host the ACMs.
The San Antonio Zoo will start construction on a skywalk for the jaguar habitat. It will be the first of its kind in the U.S. and will provide an aerial view of the jaguars. Now, currently, the zoo's 2 jaguars have their own habitat, but the new space will provide enough room for both to live together. You can read more about these stories and more right now on KSAT.com.
So the jaguar gets the bridge and you walk under, is that right?
Yes, you walk. You don't go on the bridge.
You don't get to go on the bridge. Oh.
The jaguar gets to go on the bridge, and you get to check him out while he goes back and forth.
625 and 58 degrees.
A leading infectious disease expert giving us some insight on the COVID-19 vaccine. We will see what she has to say about vaccine hesitancy in our next half hour. And taking a look out at TransGuide, there's 1604 and Bandera Road. Things looking smooth right there at the time. Traffic building a little bit there at Loop 410 and Callahan Road. We'll be back with more from Daniel King.
Monday morning traffic now replacing what had been the scene of a deadly Sunday night crash. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. I'll have the latest on that story.
Closing arguments for the trial of Derek Chauvin begin today. I'm Mike Ajachi reporting in Minneapolis. Coming up, how the city and the nation is preparing for the verdict.
Outside with live cam, the kids may need a light jacket this morning and maybe again this afternoon for a sprinkle or 2.
Hi, good morning. It is April 19th. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, a little chilly start to our day.
Yeah, just a bit.
I had the jacket.
Did you?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll probably lose it later on, maybe.
Yeah, don't lose it. Put your name in the collar back here.
Don't lose it.
Stephanie Serna.
Yeah, it's important. Let me tell you, 2 kids, it's an important thing to do. Let's talk about the school forecast. Okay. We got temperatures in the 50s this morning. Hey, this looks like Stephanie's homework here. Straight A's? Well, we'll put a B. You're a straight A student.
That's because she lost her jacket.
I get points off for that.
That's Mark. 54 degrees this morning. We'll be in the mid-70s this afternoon. Yes, a sprinkle or 2 is possible. It's not going to be a big deal, though. You don't have to worry about it. We'll see mostly cloudy skies through the day. Mid-50s here across Bexar County right now. Some 40s in the Hill Country. 47 up there around Comfort and Kerrville. And looking at the radar, we do have some returns out west. This is Del Rio here. I-10. These are really light, but I think this is going to be sort of the trend. Very light showers. Most of it's not going to reach the ground, so it's just basically a sprinkle or 2. Forecast calls for about a 10% chance of rain. Temperatures will steadily climb into the 60s by 10 o'clock. We're up to 72 by 3 p.m. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. We got a front tomorrow. That brings some cooler air. Then some rain chances on Friday. Maybe some springtime thunderstorms. That 7-day forecast is coming up here in just a bit. But let's check in on your roadways this morning. If you're heading out the door, We've had a few issues. Everything's looking good now, though?
Yeah, traffic building a little bit, but not too many issues at the moment. A lot of green on the map, which of course is what we like to see anytime in the morning, and especially at 6:30. So let's head over here to the wall and show you. Might have some issues here on 35. We're going to be checking into that. We had a stalled vehicle and a crash earlier on 35, but those particular incidents have been cleared out. Take a look at Fredericksburg Road between Hebner and Woodlawn, 13 minutes each way if you commute in the medical center area and other parts of the west side. Here's a look at some other travel times. Speaking of the west side, 24 minutes coming in on I-10 into downtown San Antonio from Bernie. Can't get much better than that. 16 minutes on 35 from Lytle, 25 minutes on 35 coming inbound to downtown San Antonio. This is 35 at Topperwine. You can see traffic beginning to build there. Might be a stalled vehicle at Judson. We'll check that out and have an update on that coming up in a few minutes. David, Stephanie?
Thank you, Samuel. Was it just an accident or will someone face charges? That's the decision Bexar County Sheriff investigators have to make about a deadly crash involving a motorcyclist. Katrina Weber is live where it all happened along Interstate 10 and Old Fredericksburg Road in northwest Bexar County. So, Katrina, as you join us there from that scene, is there any information on that biker who was killed?
No, not just yet. I did just check with the medical examiner's office and was told that they are still trying to make a positive ID on the biker. The crash happened around 10 o'clock last night, and it was in the westbound lanes. It had those westbound lanes of Interstate 10 closed near Old Fredericksburg Road. A sheriff's spokesman told me that the crash involved the motorcycle and at least 2 other vehicles. He said it appeared that one of the cars hit the motorcycle. The biker was killed, and again, he has not been identified yet. There's no word on whether any of those other drivers might face any charges in connection with this. Reporting live in northwest Bexar County, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. Early voting begins today, and polling sites are expected to open later this morning.
Stephen Cavazos is live here in the studio with us, joining us. And Stephen, voters can expect to see a lot of different things on their ballot, so break it down for us.
Yeah, that's right, David. Stephanie, there are some important races that they want to keep in a close eye on this election. And this year's ballot will have over 80 candidates, city and school races, and 2 very important propositions. There are several polling sites that are expected to open later today, and voters don't need to bring their voter registration card, but they will need a valid form of identification. Now, there are more than 80 candidates who are running for 11 seats on the ballots, and people will be able to vote for mayor and 10 city council seats. Voters will also decide on Proposition B. Now, it's a measure that would take collective bargaining rights power from police officers and change how the city would negotiate further contracts with the police union. Now, polling sites will be open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, but hours will extend on Saturday to 8 p.m. Polling sites are closed Sunday, and Election Day is May 1st. David, Stephanie?
Stephen. After 3 weeks of testimony, the fate of Derek Chauvin is about to be in the hands of the jury. This morning, closing statements begin nearly 1 year after George Floyd's death.
Cities all across the country are bracing for the verdict. ABC's Ike Dochi has the latest for us.
Good morning. It's possible jury deliberations begin after closing arguments. All this as the city prepares for more demonstrations. This morning, anticipation in the streets of Minneapolis. Crowds gathering at the now infamous corner where George Floyd was pinned to the pavement under Chauvin's knee. Tensions rising, all while 2,000 National Guard members line the streets on the eve of closing arguments. Chauvin is facing 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. He's pleaded not guilty.
The outcome that we pray for in Derek Chauvin is for him to be held criminally liable for killing George Floyd.
The prosecution arguing Chauvin's actions killed Floyd.
A healthy person subjected to what Mr. Floyd was subjected to would have died as a result of what he was subjected to.
The defense claims it wasn't Chauvin's knee that ended Floyd's life, rather his drug use and untreated heart condition.
Remember that all the defense has to present is reasonable doubt. They don't have to prove that it occurred a certain way.
The city and a nation facing a racial reckoning, a week of consistent protests following the recent police shootings of Dante Wright and 13-year-old Adam Toledo. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan releasing a statement ahead of closing arguments. She was commenting on the recent police shootings in her state, saying Minnesota is a place where it's not safe to be black. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Minneapolis.
In other headlines this morning, we are learning more details about a deadly crash in Spring, Texas. Officials say a Tesla crashed and caught fire while in self-driving mode on Saturday night. 2 men, none of whom were in the driver's seat, died when the 2019 Model S car smashed into a tree after improperly going around a curve. The fire was so intense, first responders had to call Tesla to figure out how to extinguish it. Officials report it took nearly 4 hours and more than 32,000 gallons of water to battle the intense fire caused by high-energy batteries. And dark plumes of ash are drifting over the Caribbean after the volcano on St. Vincent erupted again. It is the latest eruption over the past 2 weeks. The first occurred about 2 weeks ago, which caused an evacuation of the island. It is the first series of major eruptions for the volcano since 1979.
It's a little helicopter with a very big mission. NASA's helicopter Ingenuity just took flight on Mars. Ingenuity was in the air for about 40 seconds. It went up about 10 feet. It sent data back to mission control at NASA's lab in Pasadena, California. The agency says the helicopter could fly several more times in the coming weeks, and it could pave the way for a new tool to help in space exploration. We are expecting new pictures from the planet later on today. Hopefully we'll have them by KSAT 12 News at 9. That'd be fun.
That'll be good.
Show those off, huh?
Yeah, hopefully, and if not, noon.
At noon.
Sometime today.
Sometime today.
Time now is 6:38 and 57 degrees.
Coming up after the break, we will hear from an infectious disease expert about vaccine hesitancy and common misconceptions. And welcome back. It is 6:41. An increasing number of people are getting the vaccine across the country, including here in San Antonio.
But there are still concerns about getting vaccinated. This weekend, a leading infectious disease specialist spoke to Max Massey about the vaccines.
Yes, Dr. Patterson, an infectious disease specialist with UT Health San Antonio, joined us live to talk about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the recommended pause on that vaccine, the other vaccines that are widely available, and what distribution has looked like across the Alamo City. Take a listen.
You know, just looking at Texas in general, about 19% of people are fully vaccinated. In San Antonio, 710,000 people have received 1 dose and 28% are fully vaccinated. So that's compared with about 20% statewide. And of those 65 years of age or older, 81% have received a vaccine and 52% are fully vaccinated. So it's going really well in San Antonio.
If you ever have someone you would like to hear from, or if you ever have any questions for any guests that we have coming onto the show, you can feel free to submit both. Just head to the leading essay section of KSAT.com. Guys, back to you.
And real quick, before we get to traffic, got the second vaccine last week and wanted to recognize all those volunteers who are helping deliver all these vaccines day in and day out for hours and hours and hours, poking needles into arms and making sure the lines are moving. There's a lot of folks that are making this thing work, and we really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you to the volunteers and all the people working those long hours and being nice about it, too. So thank you.
They're pleasant. I mean, they're all smiling, and, you know, we're all crying, and they're smiling. We're like, oh, that hurt. They're like, oh, well, that's great. You'll be fine.
Well, we want to give you hugs, but it's COVID, so air hugs to you guys.
Yeah, thousands of volunteers, and, you know, not enough said about what y'all are doing, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
All right, now let's get to traffic.
Yeah, thank you very much, David and Stephanie. Things looking mostly pretty good on a Monday morning, just like moving through the vaccine line. 29 minutes coming in from Seguin on I-10 and 29 minutes coming in from the Floresville area this morning. Things looking mostly okay again on the maps here. You can see not much going on. Had a stalled vehicle there on 35 and Judson Road, but that is no longer on the board. We were talking earlier this morning, just another reminder, if you're in Comal County on 35, Creekside Crossing or FM 306, there's some changes to the traffic pattern there near the Buc-ee's, and that's going to be going on through July. That's part of the ongoing construction project. This is 35 at Topperwine. You can see traffic southbound building. This is 90 at General McMullen. Some light there coming through this morning, but things are moving well. And 35 at Laredo also moving well, even though traffic is building, guys.
Not too bad. Thank you, Samuel. And so sprinkles today, possibly.
Sprinkles, yes.
And not for your cupcake.
No, I feel like this has been a theme this morning. But yes, we're going to see a little bit of light precipitation move through. It's not really going to be a problem for you today. So any outdoor plans you have, whatever, it's fine. But we do have a few light returns on the radar showing up. We'll show you that here in just a second. I think the biggest story is probably the temperatures. It was cool this weekend. I don't think anyone was complaining. It felt great, but we've been below average last couple days, and we're keeping that trend going this morning. 30s and 40s up across North Texas. We're in the 50s right now. Cloud cover helping us out a bit this morning. If those clouds weren't there, we'd be a lot cooler, probably in the 40s here in San Antonio. But they have moved in, and that's keeping numbers up just a bit. There are freeze watches and warnings up across North Texas where the temperatures are going to get chilly. They're cool this morning, but even colder tomorrow morning. So the temperatures may fall below freezing up there. We're not going to see that, but we will get some chilly temperatures of our own, especially as we get into Wednesday morning. Live outside right now, we've got some mid and high level clouds working through. 55 degrees at the airport, 58 Stinson, 56 at Kelly. Winds are generally pretty light. 50 Bernie Stage, 54 Canyon Lake, 47 right now in Comfort, and 52 Rock Springs, 53 down in Kennedy. Dew points are low, 30s and 40s, so that puts us in the very dry to dry category. That's where it stays today. The humidity is not going to come back, and because of that, yes, we are seeing what looks like rain on the radar, but a lot of this is evaporating before it reaches the ground. That's not to say where you see some of those yellow colors, you couldn't see a few sprinkles or a very light shower. It's possible. We've got a piece of energy working through today, so I'm not going to rule it out. But it's just not going to add up to much in the rain gauge, if at all. Forecast does show that. This computer model shows some of those light returns working through, especially up there across the hill country, and some off and on clouds today, too. So this is around 5 o'clock. Does show a couple showers even out west as our upper level low moves across the area. 73, 74 for a high, mostly cloudy skies, 10% chance of rain today. Now let's go long term. Chance of rain's not great today, but we'll have a better chance as we get into Friday. Another area of low pressure moves in. This one's a little stronger. We have some moisture to work with this go around. And so I think we see some showers on Thursday and then a decent chance of some showers and storms on Friday. In fact, we could see rain through the day on Friday, which would be a great thing if we could get some good measurable rain. We'll keep an eye on the timing of it all, and that's going to be a huge part of it. But I think a lot of it's out of here by Saturday morning. Weekend's looking pretty good. Here's how it looks on the 7-day forecast. 74 today, 84 coming up tomorrow, mostly sunny, but windy with a frontal boundary working through right around dinner time tomorrow. That cools us down to 45 Wednesday morning. We're only up to 71 for a high on Wednesday, breezy in the morning. Clouds move in Thursday, 20% chance of rain, 40% chance on Friday, 76. And then again, we clear out some for the weekend. But we're pinning our hopes on the end of the work week there and those rain chances, guys.
Well, hopefully it happens.
I think it looks good at this point. Yeah.
Gonna have to get a sturdier kite.
Okay.
Yes, for all the
wind. A lot
wind.
of wind, might as well get a sturdier kite.
Did not see that coming, but yes, you work on that.
For Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, I'm here, Justin.
Check.
Keep you on your toes.
Time now, 6:47 and about 57 degrees right now.
A majority of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, and many more don't have anything stored away. Tomorrow on GMSA, some simple ways to trick your brain in order to build that savings account.
And taking a look outside with live cam, it's about 55 degrees right now. I know your screen says 57, but still a little chilly, so grab a sweater or a light jacket for this morning. We'll be right back.
By no later than April 19th.
Today's the day. Every American 16 years and older is eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine.
It's your turn now.
As of Sunday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says half of U.S. adults have had at least one dose, a big step in the race between vaccines and variants.
That's the reason why you want to get our population vaccinated.
But demand is dropping in a number of states. A recent poll from Monmouth University shows about 1 in 5 adults say they're not willing to get vaccinated. The divide is mostly along party lines, with 43% of Republicans who want to avoid the vaccine, 22% of independents, and 5% of Democrats. The reasons vary, from a push to maintain personal freedoms.
This is a public health issue. It's not a civil liberties issue.
To distrust because of past mistreatment of minorities by health professionals, difficulty accessing the shots, not liking needles, or a lack of long-term safety data.
These vaccines are exceedingly safe. They're, I believe, safer than most therapies and vaccines that we have developed in the past.
Health experts say whatever the reason, it's all the more reason to keep talking.
Having that conversation in a way that doesn't make them feel judged or ashamed by having like any kind of concerns or hesitations. And that allows them to at least feel a bit more comfortable with it.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
And before you go, the Bexar County Medical Examiner says one person is dead after an overnight crash on the northwest side. It happened around 10 last night at I-10 and Old Fredericksburg Road. Bexar County Sheriff investigators tell us a motorcycle was hit by a vehicle and caused a 3-car crash. The crash caused the interstate to close for several hours while emergency crews were on the scene. We're still waiting to learn more information on what led up to that crash and if any charges will be filed. The interstate has since reopened.
Also this morning, San Antonio police still looking for the suspects involved in an armed robbery and a crash. Officers say it happened last night outside a laundromat near West Avenue and Red Rock. They say 2 men blocked a victim's car with their truck. They got out, pointed a gun at the driver. Then they tried to steal the victim's car, but stole personal property instead. And police say the 2 suspects then drove off. They ended up crashing their truck near Vance Jackson and Hermosa. The 2 men ran off from that crash. Officers say there were no injuries in the robbery or the crash.
Austin police say a shooter is still on the run this morning after they say he shot and killed 3 people yesterday. They're asking everyone to look out for the suspect on your screen. That is 41-year-old Stephen Broderick. Austin police say he is a former Travis County Sheriff deputy, and he was last seen wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. Police say the shooting may have been targeted as the suspect and victims. They all knew each other. The shelter-in-place order was lifted yesterday evening, but police there have been asking everyone to remain vigilant until Broderick is found. If you see him, you're asked to call 911 immediately.
Early voting for the May 1st election starts today. Polls will be open starting at 8 o'clock this morning, and they will stay open until 6 this evening, all week long, on the ballot. In addition to Proposition B, there's also the race for San Antonio mayor as well as open city council seats. You can find additional information, including proposition explainers, our Q&As with mayoral candidates, as well as how and where to vote right now on KSAT.com. Just click on Vote 2021 under the News tab on our homepage.
And it looks like there are a few more cars on the road. Let's go ahead and check in with Samuel King.
Yeah, definitely traffic building, but no crashes so far, David and Stephanie, as we head over and look at things, some delays downtown and also on the east side. So let's take a look at that east side on 410. So from 37 to 35 is going to take you 16 minutes. Those delays building as they often do during the day. But coming in from New Braunfels on 35, still the normal time, 26 minutes, 24 minutes on I-10 from Bernie. And this is a look at I-10 at Frio once you reach downtown, Justin.
Thanks, sir. Mostly cloudy out there. Temperatures in the mid-50s, so it's a little cool this morning. We'll be in the 70s this afternoon. A couple of light showers, maybe a sprinkle moving through, especially during the early afternoon hours. We'll get up to 84 tomorrow. Front comes through, cools us down. Some cool mornings, especially on Wednesday. Rain chances kick in by the end of the week. 40% shot on Friday, and then we'll clear out some by the weekend. Guys.
Very good. We'll prepare for the rain hopefully later in the week.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you, Justin.
And put your name in your jacket so you don't lose it.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Have a great Monday, guys. Thanks for joining us.
See you back here for GMSA at 9. Good Morning America is next.